Mr. Karori, in the morning you did really argue quite strongly that when it comes to verification, tallying and declaration of the result, the presidential election result, that really, if you look at the law in your interpretation of the Article 138 and the jurisprudence that you say emanates from this court, you seem to be arguing that that is strictly within the purview of the chair's mandate, and that really these other commissioners, let's say the remaining, the 6 commissioners, really ought not to be around that, because that's a role preserved for the chair. But then you said, according to the statute that establishes this commission, the enabling statute, the roles and functions of the commission, commission, are stated. One of them is oversight. What is oversight? If, in fact, the commissioners, I would have thought that one of the most important oversight roles in the commissioner's life would be when they are overseeing the verification and tallying of the presidential election result at the center before the same is then declared on behalf but for the people of Kenya by the chair. So what is oversight? I ask this because we were informed yesterday, and I think you were here, that instead of perhaps playing this role, some of them were allocated welfare scenarios, protocol, and media. But what is oversight? What would they be oversighting over? That's the question. In other words, at what point in this corporate entity scenario does the chair then disengage from the other commissioners, be they 2 or be they 5 or 6? When do you say this is chair qua chair and this is chair as part of the commission? Because we need to understand that. We've been asked to provide clarity. Then let's go to Mahat. Mahat, there is this story about this Venezuelan. And one of the issues is whether the technology system employed or deployed was penetrated. And you did tell us, again, quite robustly, that there was no such penetration or infiltration or intrusion, whichever. But you did also concede that this Venezuelan, whatever his name is, had access to the server. But your answer was that the contract between the Iebc and Smartmatic was to supply and maintenance. So if I understood you correctly, this Venezuelan was accessing the server as part of the maintenance. So what is this maintenance? What does it entail? What was he doing there? Say he was released and locked out just before the election. So what was he maintaining in that system? Maybe you just want to tell us what maintenance entails as part of that contract agreement. Then back to the question of percentages, again, in terms of the turnout. I think I asked this question, I asked Mr. Orengo, but now that you may not have another, you may also want to address it. In the arguments that have been presented before us, Mr. Chebukati, the chair, first mentioned a 65.4% turnout. And then he did indicate that that was bound to change as results kept streaming in, especially if you took into consideration the number of those who had voted manually and the numbers that had yet to come in from the elders. Now, it is the petitioner's argument that if there was to be any change at all, then that percentage would have to increase rather than decrease. So I don't know. And how relevant, again, is this turnout to the determination of whether a candidate gathered 50% plus one vote? And then, you see, we have been asked by Mr. Ngatia, who do you believe among these two protagonists? Who do you believe? This question has been put to us, and believe you me, we will have to deal with it. Who do we believe? Now, the question of the National Security Advisory Council. This, I think, Mr. Oraro, this could be of interest to you. On the one hand, you are telling us that these personnel visited the premises at the Bomas to express their concern, because, of course, being an advisory council, they must have arrived at a conclusion that unless the results were released, then there was bound to be chaos. But on the other hand, the chair, in his affidavit, tells the court that the only reason the AG, or I mean not the AG, but the individuals, distinguished people for whom we have a lot of respect, paid that visit, was to tell the chair to somehow re-engineer the results in favor of one of the